I've wanted for a long time to convert a chest freezer into an ice bath because of all the positive benefits that say is out there for doing an ice bath. It's really intimidating at first, or it was for me, and watching videos I felt like they didn't really do a good job of explaining how to actually make the conversion and the small steps along the way. I wanted to create a video because as a homeowner and as someone who did it on their own, it was a little bit annoying not having maybe more full details or the things that I probably would have wanted to know. Before I open this up, I wanted to show you some things that I got beforehand, all online. One of the things, this is the least mandatory thing. It's a water filter system. You'd hook this up to your hose, and then you'd have filtered water in your ice bath once you actually ran the hose. This is the thing that you probably need the least, being that it's cleaning the water, but I'm only in the ice bath for 3-4 minutes anyway. Is this a big deal? Is this a deal breaker? No, it wasn't something that I think was mandatory. Another thing I got was 100% silicone sealant. This sealant was used because in the chest freezer, there's gaps, and I wanted to be able to fill those gaps, and I can post a picture of this in the video as well. Another thing I got was 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide. Keep the water clean, mildew free. This was something that I always use now. The silicone was a one-time thing, and this is every time you refill the ice bath. And the last thing that I purchased was this timer. This timer was cheap. It allows you to determine when you want to actually turn on the power to the chest freezer. It has an option for you to always have it turned on. If you turn it to this position where it's on timer, you're able to just say, I want to make sure that it goes on at 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, or whatever your time designated is. I do this overnight. Overnight it turns on, the rest of the day it's off. I have it set for 2 hours on every single night on the highest setting on my chest freezer, which is the level 7. So that's just the highest. I have it on the highest possible setting, the coldest possible setting, for 2 hours, and it usually keeps me at 33, 34 degrees in the ice bath itself. I just plug this into the chest freezer and then plug this into the wall. Again, this video isn't telling you to do this. Just in case something happens to you and you electrocute yourself, this is just a guide of what I do. Don't do this at home, but this is an instructional video how to set one up. I actually keep this unplugged every time I go into the chest freezer, into the ice bath, just in case, although I know it's off because I know it's not on during this time, as just a precautionary measure, just to make sure nothing happens. Now the steps of what I did to convert it. This is the chest freezer right now. I took the siliconed all in here because this is where you're gonna have your gaps. I also siliconed the sides. I siliconed all in here. Anywhere where there was a gap, I siliconed. And you can see this is a pretty cold ice bath because it actually has ice built up along all on the side. It is 33.8 degrees right now. And setting it up as simple as that. I had the chest freezer, I siliconed that, I waited 24 hours. I hooked up the hose to the carbon filter, filled it up. Now if you see I drew a line here, this is 7 inches off of the top. When I sit in this, the water pretty much runs up to about here. 7 inches was enough for me. My body weight, I am 5'9" and 175 pounds. I was able to So whenever I go in or whenever I fill it, I always fill it to that line. This is only a 7 cubic foot mini fridge or chest freezer, and I'm able to fit in up to my shoulders here. I sit right on that little seat, and I'm about right here when I'm sitting inside of it. I don't really have too much. I don't really measure when I drop this in. You could probably figure out online what would be the perfect ratio of hydrogen peroxide to water. I just do a couple drips, a couple dumps, and it doesn't seem like it irritates me for what I do. Probably a 1/4 cup is probably what it ends up being per however many gallons would be fit in 7 cubic feet chest freezer without going all the way to the top. And that is pretty much it. I'll go 3 weeks or so before I drain it and then refill it. The draining system is pretty simple. In here there's a plug, so you just take out the plug, you turn this and all the water comes out. I'll rotate this to outside. They sell a piece that you could plug in here, connect it to your hose, and it will drain. For me, that took super long because the hole is really, really small. If I was just to open this, take out the plug, it'll be a lot quicker. It probably takes about 10 minutes to drain this and about 10 minutes to fill it up. I think that is pretty much everything. And if you have any questions, leave it in the comments below.